Holy hell, the PlayStation 5 Pro was announced, and we got some details and price point and release date for this machine. And we're going to jump right into it. Let's go. So the PS5 Pro is going to be hitting stores this holiday season, November 7th, I think, or something close to that. I'm sure it'll be in this post here on the PlayStation website. But with it being released, it has the internet, namely Twitter, X, in an absolute uproar. There are people that are justifying the PlayStation Pro. There are people, much like myself, asking why, like, who is this for? I'm not really sure why this was introduced. And they're fighting back and forth like cats and dogs, and it's really coming down to the price point, honestly. The breakdown that I saw, and if you're familiar with this, if you caught it from Mark Cerny, I mean, it was just a lot of tech talk, a lot of the same hoopla that we hear from the companies that come out and release new hardware and so on and so forth. It's really more so of, you know, your buzzwords, high fidelity, you know, high performance, ray tracing, all this stuff that's been shoved down our throats this generation. And I guess with the PS5 Pro, we're just going to get more of that in a more stable way. And it was only like 9 or 10 minutes long, this stream that they had breaking it down. And it was all focused on the PS5 Pro, as I'm sure you already know. But they really didn't show much of anything other than how older games can play better. But that was one of the selling points that they had for the original base model of the PS5, was that you'll be able to play older games in a higher performance. But then not all older games got the high performance. It's a mess. It really is just kind of a mess, in my opinion. And they talked about older games like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. They talked about The Last of Us Part 2. They showed a little bit of, you know, what it's going to look like, the differences between the base model and the Pro model, which in my opinion, there's not really too much difference in there as far as fidelity goes. My big thing with the consoles has always been performance. I want a much better performance out of my games. Obviously, I don't want 720p resolution. We're in 2024 right now, so the standard has to be at least, at minimum, 1440p 60 frames. And the consoles this generation, both Xbox and PlayStation, have both kind of struggled with hitting this. And the way that they are marketing, Sony is marketing this thing, is that it's going to be able to hit 60 frames or up to 120 frames with straight up 4K resolution. Now, we'll have to wait until the thing comes out and people do their tests to find out, Digital Foundry and all that. But I always take this stuff with a grain of salt. Even when Xbox is doing this stuff, I just kind of wait, and I make sure I'm really only depending on my own experience with tech like this, because anybody can say anything. And, you know, there's a few things that people tend to have whenever they purchase something. And one thing is buyer's remorse, where they buy something, consumers will buy something, and if they hear any negative talk about it from anybody, they feel the need to defend that, because they tie their purchases to their emotions, to their personality. It's part of who they are. And I think that's another big thing that's pushing console wars, video game console wars. It's still going to this day, and it's never, ever going to die, no matter what brand comes out with what hardware. Console wars are always going to be there because of the buyer's remorse. People are tying purchases to their personality, so they feel the need to defend something when someone doesn't like what they like. But anyways, I got off on a tangent there. Let's go scrolling down here. Witness Play Unleashed. With the PS5 Pro console, the world's greatest game creators can enhance their games with incredible features like advanced ray tracing, super sharp image clarity for your 4K TV, and high frame rate gameplay. Man, I'm getting sick and tired of companies using buzzwords like super sharp image clarity, high frame rate gameplay, advanced ray tracing. One thing I'd like to see is ray tracing actually be optimized for any system. That's one reason why these consoles, these base consoles, the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5 base console and Slim, there's a reason why they have those modes where it's fidelity and performance, is because when you put on ray tracing, it is super taxing to your system. Even on PC, when you enable ray tracing, it's very taxing on the PC. And all it is doing is really enhancing reflections. It's beautiful, I'll give them that, but it's not optimized very well. It's a feature that hasn't really been fleshed out, in my opinion. And when we see things like advanced ray tracing, I gotta take that with a grain of salt. But moving down, PlayStation, they're now introducing this new feature that they're introducing, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, or PSSR. You get super sharp image clarity on your 4K TV using AI enhanced resolution for ultra high definition play with astonishing details. Now, all the people that have been hating on AI and have been against any sort of AI helping anything, they should not be happy about this. I don't want to see people who are not happy with AI being introduced into any asset of humanity cheering on this feature for the PlayStation 5, because, I mean, we're all hypocrites to a degree, right? But you don't want to look like a super hypocrite, right? You can't be against AI completely and then accept this on your new game console. We don't want to look like that, right? But, I mean, like, is this a fluff thing? Like, this is something new that's going to be just for their PlayStation Pro console? So the base console isn't going to be able to handle this PSSR, whatever it is. You know, in the base PS5, we got, you know, the super fast hyper SSD that only PlayStation exclusive games can run on. And then we find out that that was a lie. So is this going to be another thing? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see, right? Until the console comes out in a couple months and we get to testing it here. Optimized console performance, reach higher and more consistent frame rates for silky smooth gameplay with support for 60 Hz and 120 Hz display. Now, if I'm not mistaken, my PlayStation 5 base PlayStation 5 box, because I still have it, I'm pretty sure it says the same thing, 60 to 100, 120 Hertz display. And yeah, it has to say that, because I know the Xbox said that too. And everyone was pushing VRR, and everyone on the internet was gung-ho over getting a monitor or a TV that has VRR so you can play your games in 120 instead of 60. So I'm a little confused on this. This shouldn't be a highlight. This should be standard. So why are we highlighting this for the PS5 Pro? I don't know. I'm not really too sure. Advanced ray tracing, experience next level realism with ray traced reflections, shadows, and high quality global illumination as you explore stunning game worlds. We have already talked about the ray tracing. So PS5 Pro enhanced games. We already have a list of Pro enhanced games. So what do you got? Demon Souls, GT7, Horizon Forbidden West, Until Dawn. Now, is this the original, or is this going to be the remake that they're coming out with? Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. So a handful of their exclusive games. Nothing that most people are going to play, which are third-party games. You know, your Call of Duties and your 2Ks. Oh, I think that's because those games are also being made for the last gen. So now what? We have to make a copy. We have to make not a copy, but we have to make a version for previous consoles, current consoles, and the Pro version of a console. I don't know. I I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about this. To have a list already, of course, these are going to be your in-house games. These are going to be the games that you can test on your console. I get that. I understand that. But still, these are not your super popular games. These are kind of like one and dones, right? Moving on, play at 60 FPS or up to 120 FPS with 4K output and ray tracing for compatible games. With the power of PS5 Pro console, compatible games can be played at 60 frames or up to 120 with ray tracing and AI enhanced blah, 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 all at the same time on your 4K TV. Okay. PS5 Pro features. Here's what we're going to get into. More enhanced under the hood of the PS5 Pro console. Looks like the Slim to me. Oh, we get a 2 terabyte storage. That's a good thing. I think all the consoles should have come with that regardless. Next level online wireless connectivity. It's going to be the same type of wireless. PS5 Pro game boost and backwards compatibility. The PS5 Pro console can play over 8,500 PS4 games. With the PS5 Pro versions of the game boost feature, you can enjoy faster and smoother frame rates in some of the PS4 and PS5 consoles' greatest games. So these are all going to be enhanced for PS5 Pro. Is that what I'm to believe? That's what they're telling me? I'm seeing a lot of Sony stuff. You're lying. Hold up. The PS5 Pro version of the Game Boost feature. You can enjoy faster and smoother frame rates in some of the PS4 and PS5 consoles' greatest. So we have Bloodborne on this list. So are they silently telling us that Bloodborne's going to get a game boost now with the PS5 Pro? Because if it is, I mean, that alone would probably convince a lot of people to buy the PS5 Pro. Right now, I'm not seeing a lot of people really for this thing. There's a handful of people that I'm seeing on Twitter and on the internet that are champion, this thing and really looking forward to it and has wanted this for some weird reason. But there's a lot of people that are not for this at all from what I'm seeing. Me personally, I don't see the actual need for a PS5 Pro. There was nothing presented in this presentation as far as like a new game showing off what the PS5 Pro can actually do. It's just a lot of talk. It's actually a lot of what the Xbox Series X does right now. And don't get my words twisted. I'm not saying the Xbox Series X is going to be more powerful than the PS5 Pro. I'm not saying that. But what they've hinged this thing on is playing a lot of older games at higher resolution and higher frame rate. But the Xbox Series X actually does that with older games already. Not all of them, obviously, but there's a lot of games that already get Game Boost free. You don't have to pay for an upgrade like Sony had did for their PS5 upgrades from PS4. And so I'm not really too sure what the whole purpose of this is other than pushing more hardware onto, the Sony fan base. And the hardcore Sony fan base, unfortunately, you guys buy this stuff. Sony pushes any hardware out and you guys lap it up without even thinking about anything. You're just like, oh, that's the new hotness. I got to cop it. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, it's not even been a year yet since the PlayStation 5 Slims were released. So from 2020 to 2024, there's been 3 different versions of the PS5. That should be a little concerning to a lot of people. And those people should be the consumers. They should be looking into this like, maybe let's pump our brakes on this for a minute. Let's think about that. But that's not the case. And that's why Sony continues to do this stuff, I feel. It's smart on their end as a business, but as far as consumers go, I mean, everyone has their own choice, obviously, to buy this or not to buy this. I agree with that 100%, but I don't know. It seems like this generation, Sony has really been leaning into the hardware aspect on this console, and with Xbox basically bowing out of, you know, trying to beat them in a hardware race, I mean, this is what you're going to get. There's really no other dog in the fight other than Nintendo, and Nintendo is really no threat to, you know, Sony at this point as far as powerful consoles go. And so yeah, this is where you look forward to more, you know, price increases, hardware that's put out that's super expensive. That's just how it's going to go until someone steps up and makes some real competition, or Xbox gets their head out their butt and, you know, really focuses on doing something like Sony's doing. I mean, you have the VR, you have the handheld streaming device that Sony's put out. I mean, dude, I'll tell you this though. The one thing I don't like is with it being $700, there's no different editions. So it's a digital edition right up out the gate, which I'm fine. I'm okay with, because that's just the way the industry's going. But I do like to buy my console games physical, which means I would have to pay more for my disc tray, and that doesn't come with the console. You have to purchase that separate. So that's just another expense. And the stand is also another expense. And that stuff was already included in the base PS5. So this is the one thing I don't like, is when companies take things and put a new product out and they charge more. They take things away, but they charge you more. Hey, if you guys spend your money however you want. I'm not pocket watching anybody, but I'm just saying, really, you should really be looking at what some of these choices these companies are doing, namely Sony in this situation, and really think like, maybe is this a smart thing for me as the consumer? I mean, they did a price hike for their PlayStation Plus and added nothing to the service. I mean, I'm a PlayStation Plus, you know, subscriber to myself. I just can't play my PS5 right now. I got to get the HDMI fixed. Unfortunately, it's out of commission at the moment. So I'm still a PlayStation 5 Plus subscriber, but just from my experience being subscribed to them for the past 2 or 3 years, there's no reason to justify this price hike they did for their service when they added nothing. They literally added nothing. They just chose to raise the price. So things like this, if it's done too much, that makes me want to step away from the companies. But hey, everyone has their own opinion, right? You let me know yours down below. Let me know if you, are cool with the price of this console. If you're cool with the console coming out, what are your thoughts? You let me know down there. Make sure you hit the like button if you like this video. Share it around. Hit me with a subscribe. You know how this all goes. It helps my channel out, pushes me out there to the algorithm, and it lets YouTube know that your boy's in the pond with all the other large fish. So I really appreciate you guys checking out the video. And until next time, it's been your boy, it's been real, and I am out. Later.